Cool. Cool. Episode 103 of From Everyone. I'm on the journey to learn something from everyone, and it continues today with Cadoret. Am I saying the last name correctly there?
Yes, you got it. You nailed it.
Beautiful. Vocalist of Loudsounds band. My man, thank you for making the trip out here.
Thank you.
Before we dive into anything here, I like to do plugs, so I'll get my little cheat sheet here so I get all the dates and names right. For starters, if you're interested in a music video, unique and memorable music video, let's talk. Let's make that happen. If you want to go see this show, or I guess for starters here, new single Lenora out now. Go stream it everywhere. Go stream that before you listen to this. It is more enjoyable. Listen, go enjoy that. Go have fun. And then come back here and listen to us yap about all the process that went into making that art here. These arms adjust if you would like them, by the way, is my other thing I forgot to mention here. The halfway is a power move.
Yeah, that's a power move. That's definitely a power move. Like
August 31st, Loudsounds has a show at the Parlor in Providence, Rhode Island. September 6th at the Vault in New Bedford, Massachusetts. And then a bunch of stuff coming up afterwards. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
I should have also mentioned this will be out Monday, August 25th. So I believe it's about a week from today ish.
Cruising through August.
So yeah, it still feels like it's July to me.
Yeah.
Not quite smart enough to figure all this out here. Beautiful. New singles out now. Recorded with Matty. Matty's a great friend of the show. And so one place I always like to touch on here is like the process of making this and like what Matty did well, where I think the challenge for me as a music video person is like, there's only one of me on set at all times. And it then becomes hard. Like, I want to know what other people do well. What did Matty do well that made this thing come together? How did he make you feel comfortable in the process of recording this? Like, how is he influential? What did he do that I can learn from in making this thing go well?
Thing with Matty, I mean, I've known him for a while, but I'm trying to remember, like, I've known him since I was like early 20s, but we weren't like friends. We just knew of each other. And then
he knows like, everyone.
Yeah, he knows everyone. Matty's just really good about making the environment enjoyable and relaxed. So it's less stress. I mean, when recording music, it can be so stressful and just like your anxiety is like through the roof. It's not that with Matty. Matty is like the most easy person to hang out with.
I can't like I can't relate to it because I haven't done it myself instead of record the music. But it does seem like the most stressful place ever. And I think the music video equivalent is somewhat equivalent to this. But I think the key to me is like, I guess there's the same thing here of like, we get to do, the multiple takes, we get to choose the best one. And of course, songwriting is the same thing. But there is like a permanence to songwriting and a bigger picture in mind, where the music video, I'm making 1 3-minute thing. And when you're recording the album, recording a single, there is this thing of like, well, how does this fit into the bigger picture? Yeah. Is this the voice where I am creating based on the foundation the song built? So I kind of have a starting spot here. Whereas a song feels like it can go anywhere. There's an infinite possibility of like, we can make this a fucking hip hop song. If we like, this can be anything. There's an enormous array of possibilities there that seems so overwhelming. I listened to Topics Under the Stairs podcast and Growing Up Christian podcast. So a lot of this comes from those two. So shout out to those two podcasts and those two great conversations. You describe yourself as kind of like an introverted person who starts these songs alone. So I'm curious then how like when you get to Matty, it seems challenging to then bring other people into the fold, where it's like this thing started, it's like your intimate project, now you're bringing everyone else into the fold. Like that seems like a challenging leap to make, especially given all the other anxieties that go into making a song here. I mean, the way it started was just me in my attic in my old apartment at the time, and just kind of like I had come from making like indie rock music like Radiohead and like Wilco and Manchester Orchestra stuff. And I was like, I really miss making heavy music because that was like my whole childhood, So I just like started writing this stuff. I'm just like, I'm just gonna maybe post this up and just write everything. And then after a while, I was like, I think I want to make this into a band. This could be cool. So for the longest time, it was really just me, my drummer Jamie, and our bassist Gabe, just jamming. I would play guitar. I think it was kind of instrumental. And then I started singing, and then I was like, shit, like, I'm not really good at playing and singing at the same time. I can do some things. I'm just like, the things I was writing were just like pretty challenging. I was like, fuck. So then I was like, I'm going to just need to become a front man. And I'd never done that. So there was a lot of anxiety that I was like, oh, fuck, like, I don't know what to do with my hands on stage or like whatever. But we got some guitar players, and then we started jamming, and I would just kind of write the songs, and then the people, in the band are really good at just learning them and performing them, because that's always been my mantra of how I write. I'm not a big jammer. I don't like to sit in a room and jam with everyone. I can, but
it's just like I like to sit down in my own space, flesh everything out. like do every layer I need to do, like drums, but doesn't mean that like, okay, that's set in stone. Like the drums are set in stone, everything. I want to be able to let people know that, hey, here's what my idea is, but like play it how you're going to want to play it. Like don't do what I do. Cause I'm not a fucking drummer.
Yep.
So I only know some things that I've heard, but I have always been that, because I'm an only child. So like I'm just sit and I'll write everything I'm done. I'm like, hey, do you guys like this?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I'm like super insecure about showing that, but I'm like, do you guys like this?
Yep.
But that's just how I have to operate.
I can relate to that so much, where I love that I get to edit my videos behind closed doors. That I go and I film and I get to show you the parts of the camera. I don't show you the bad takes. I don't show you the bad parts of the takes. I show you the take that I like and the part that I like, and you go, wow, that looks great. And I go, yes, but you don't know these other 2 problems that I have to go solve and get home. And then I get to come home and I get to solve the solution in my bedroom. And that means that like I was doing a video the other day that had like the narrative element mixed in, and I kept struggling with the pacing of it, of like how fast should the story unfold, like where are the beats of this thing. And of course, some of this is planned out, but the plan is a hypothetical plan. And then once I actually have the footage and the song and it's all coming together, this thing all of a sudden changes.
Yeah.
And it was one of those of like, I was so grateful not to be Matty with the band in the room with me as I record this thing and make this thing, right? That I get to be in the comfort of my own home going, fuck, nope, that's not it. Let's throw away the last 2 hours of effort or restructure them significantly. Yeah. And then I can send you the version of this that I like. But yes, this idea of like, bring it to the band is a level 1 challenge of like, you have taken this idea that is yours and brought it to other people already hard. And then to bring it to Matty to cement onto a song seems like, a scary process here. I think having someone like him who can make you feel comfortable in that and make this thing a less intimidating process must be the entire value of someone like that.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, like everything that was on that song was like pretty much done. He had some producer inputs, the direction for it. But like, pretty much like we as a band would just kind of set it up and then record it and just be like, I need you to like engineer and do that type of stuff. So sometimes, you know, like for our album we actually reached out and got like a producer to like help shape things. And, you know, I think we needed that for a full length. I mean, it's an arduous like journey doing that, and you need to have someone to be like guide you, like coach and learn like, hey, this kind of makes sense. And like, because you're not just doing a song, you're not just doing like a couple, like an EP. Like I like things to be thematically make sense and some sort of continuity, and someone to be like, you know, go this line here. It's something that's not out of randomness, you know.
And someone who's done it before, I think, is the other big value there, where I think part of the value I can offer on the music video front is like, I have made 100 music videos at this point. So when you say, I want to do it in the house, like, okay, here are the 10 problems we're going to run into in most houses. Like, is there power? Can we use fog? Are we going to set off your smoke alarms? Like, what are all these challenges that are like very common to houses? And I assume that, the producer who's made an album, there's a similar thing here of like, an album's a big fucking scary thing. And to wander into that road for the first time is brave and noble, but to have someone who's been like, I have walked this road, I haven't walked this exact road, but I've walked 100 roads that look very similar to this. Here's what you should look out for. Here is where this guitar tone makes sense in this song, but in the context of the album, does this tone really work, or do we want to use something that is more consistent across the songs that I'm musically ignorant, so I'm speaking out of my depth here in terms of tones or whatever the specific elements are. But how did the album come together? Like, what were some of the things that were like, what were some of the rough edges that were taken off in this process where you talk to the producer, helps you like shape this thing? What were some of the things that were like, we like this for a single, but doesn't make sense to do this in the album?
Yeah. So when we started it, I mean, it's been a while that we've been working on this record for like two and a half, maybe 3 years. We all met together with, it was Greg from Silver Bullet. We met, and I had a fuckload of songs. I'm talking probably like 35, 40 songs. And we kind of just combed through them and be like, okay, this could work. And we just kind of settled on, here's 10 songs that could work. And then what we ended up doing next is we got together in the studio and kind of broke them down and structured them in a way where it makes more sense, because not everything in a demo is, set in stone.
Sure.
I mean, so what we were doing is making it more coherent for a listener, like not having demoitis and like being, no, that's how it has to be. But he helped us kind of shape them to be more of a, all types of listeners could
Sure.
attract to it.
Was it tough going from, I assume you said 35 to 40. I assume the final number is 10 to 12-ish, give or take a couple on one of the two ends there. That to me sounds awful. Like, I don't think I would arrive at this final demo that I'm bringing to a production if I wasn't happy with it. So it seems like there's this moment here where 2/3 of the thing are now gone. And of course, that's the luxury, right? When I'm filming, it's like, I want to film more than I could ever put in the video so that I only keep the top 10%.
Yeah.
But on an album, it's like, this could be 3 albums. We save some of these for the next album. Like, it seems like that culling process would be so much more stressful than it is for me. And yeah, I wonder, like, again, with the idea here of like, I assume for you to see a demo through, I'm sure there's times where you start a song and go, nope, I got one chorus and fuck this thing. That is gone. And I'm sure those are in the triple digits, right? If there's 40 that made it, then there's hundreds that didn't even get it to that point. So for you to see it through to the point that it makes it to this production moment, sounds like there's already some attachment, there's already some fondness here. And I guess maybe you came with 40 songs being like, we're not going to have 40 song albums. So there's some obvious nature here. But was it that culling process tough for you? Were you like open? Is it like an easy time to pass the reins off? Or is this a personal, like, I cannot cut this thing?
No, I'm pretty easygooing with that. I think I set myself up to know that, okay, out of these 40 songs, I'm not, doing a triple album here. And I need, the only, like, one of the downsides of writing by yourself, I mean, you don't have another person be like, no, that's kind of dumb. Or like, yeah, I wouldn't do it like that. You're only really, going off what you want. So it was actually kind of helpful to know why something wasn't being chosen for me as a songwriter to just be like, okay, cool, got that. This isn't on the album because of this reason. And as much as I may like that part, maybe we'll use something from it later. But I think it was more of like a growing opportunity for me. And I know that some of the guys were, they had attachment to certain songs. You're like, oh my God. So believe it or not, they were more upset about certain things that couldn't get recorded. And I was like, guys, this really doesn't fucking matter. But I mean, to each his own. I mean, they get attached to it in a different way that I do. So
it's interesting. There's a quote here, and I'm forgetting, I think it's by Charles Bukowski, who's an author and like, I think a pretty flawed man in a lot of ways. So I'm always hesitant to idolize him, but it is one of those like passages that lives on my wall, and it has lived rent free in my brain for years now. And the crux of it is that isolation is a gift. He's talking about the creative process here and how there's so many things that can get in the way. And there is something beautiful about isolation being the gift here. And I'm hearing you talk about this as your songwriter. I always feel this way in my own creative processes. And of course, there is a horrible downside there of like isolation has plenty of other negative things to come with it, right? Like this has been a challenge for me where it's like, I believe that mantra to be true. It has also led me to be isolated, which is not a great way to be as a human being. But on a creative front, it's like half of the isolation here is that we are free of we are medically well enough to focus on this thing, that there is not a broken leg or whatever the equivalent of that may be. And a broken leg is probably too simple for what we're talking about here, but like whatever that chronic ailment may be, that we are free of those challenges, that we are free of whatever personal stressors that plenty of people go through, that we didn't get someone pregnant when we were 18 and now have this kid. Like there's plenty of isolations here that are normal life things that we have found our way to steer clear of in one way or another so that we can then focus all of our energy on this thing. And it is this beautiful, like, great to focus on this. And from the creative process here, as you're writing songs, it's like, it's great to sit in a room and go, what does Cal's brain want here? Through the music video, there's a similar gift here of like, the gift is isolation. If I'm in the room with someone else, I might be scared to go down this road. I may be nervous to take a chance on this thing. When I'm with myself, I can spend an hour and be like, nope, turns out that idea fucking sucked. That was not the one that I thought it was. And I wouldn't have gotten to explore that road. And then I wouldn't have gotten to check that thing off and build off of it. And like, there's this whole, isolation is the gift in that sense. Yeah. It is also a fucking terrifying thing. As you're describing this, like you get to the band, you get to everyone else and go, fuck. And then you finally learn like, oh, this is why it doesn't work. And that's been, I think, the important, like, eye-opening moment for me here of like, okay, isolation is a gift, but I can't create an echo chamber. There has to be some revision process and feedback here that I think I so value where I'm, working for a band. Ultimately, they are the people telling me like, nope, that idea fucking sucks. And I go, okay, I thought it was cool, but what the fuck do I matter here? Yeah. And there is something kind of refreshing about that. And it sounds like I'm hearing you say the same thing where there is the gift of creating in your echo chamber, but the 40 songs here need someone to come in and say, no. Yeah. This ain't it. And they need your drummer to come in and be like, no, here's what a drum part actually should sound like.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I know that everything I write is, not gold,
Sure.
like, I mean, we all have good ideas and we all have bad ideas.
Yep.
And it's just, that's the reality of it. I think that it feels good to know that personally, just because I know they don't have like a true raging ego.
Mm-hmm.
I can write something that fucking sucks. I know that. I've done
Yes.
it. But I know I can write something good.
Yes.
So, and I know that other people do like what I write. So it kind of keeps me going.
Yep.
Hey, can I top that? Can I top this? Can I top that? Okay, no, that actually did suck.
Yes.
So it's just sort of like an always growing thing, because you can never be perfect and you can never be, you can never know too much. But like, I always want to become better and better and better and better.
Yes.
But there's no like peak. Like, it just keeps going and going and going.
That sucks. That's fucked me up too.
Yeah.
Of like this thing of like, I think when I first got the cameras up, there was a point of like, one day I'm gonna take a photo or make a video that is so good that I'll be happy and proud.
Yeah.
And it's like, nope, turns out as you climb the mountain, all you are aware is how much taller the mountain could be.
Yeah.
And that is the whole process here. And I've learned to find comfort in that journey of like, the fun part is climbing the mountain and figuring out how good this thing could be. I also find that like, for me to take on a project, it has to be somewhat scary to me. Where like the idea of writing, and I guess in your equivalent, like the idea of writing the song you've already written is not exciting anymore. The challenge is then, how do I make this thing 5% better? And that becomes a terrifying process here. But it's also the only way to grow. But then you get into this balance of like, well, I don't want to do what I've already done, so it has to be better. And like, do you have trouble like with putting pressure on yourself and trying to make this thing better and forcing an idea? And like, how do you kind of balance this drive that I can relate to of wanting to be better, but also accepting that we are human and sometimes ideas are going to fucking suck?
I think from experience, like if something is not working or I'm not feeling what a next part should be, a lot of the times I'll just walk away.
Yep.
Just walk away and not force.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you're gonna force something, but I've learned to control myself to just be like, it's time to walk away, because nothing is really happening here. I could sit here for another 3 hours and just be garbage. Let me walk away, get a different perspective, come back the next day or the day after that, and then, start fresh.
Yep.
And if it's still not working, be like, okay, fuck it. We'll do something new.
Is that a learned skill for you? Have you always had that, like, that is a wise way? And I still think that sometimes there is an argument for forcing it for me. And I understand that if it is shit, it might still be shit, but there is sometimes there's my own anxiety of I get to a point and go, this is too hard, this isn't working, and then I want to flip the table over. And it's like, no. The growth is in sitting in that moment and going, this fucking sucks. How do I make this suck less? What is the next 1% step here? And trying to, like, instead of focusing on the macro project, just focus on this micro perspective of it. Mm-hmm. It sounds like you have a much wiser perspective walking away, which is for sure the correct thing to do, and one that I'm still working on. Is that a learned perspective? Is that something you have practiced? Is this like where does this come from? Have you always kind of operated that way? Or is that new?
I guess it's sort of a learned perspective. I think the thing I take away from that when I do that, in the back of my mind, I know that at least I sat down and did something. I remember when it was like my junior year in high school, and one of my favorite teachers said to me, because we're talking about writing just, in general, he said, you should, if you want to be a good writer, the best thing you can do is, no matter what, every day write something. Force yourself to write. It could be a sentence, it could be a couple words. Mm-hmm. So I would use that as a sense of just like, okay, I did this one riff, I'm going to walk away. It's good enough for now, because at least I sat down and tried this. Mm-hmm. And it's fine. You just walk away. I don't feel like, a failure or something that I didn't finish something. I know that I'm going to finish it or start something new, and, it is what it is. And just, it's a little less of a stress on me because of the amount of stresses that are in life regardless. Yep. So I'd rather not turn, something that I love to do into a distress, and make me fucking hate it.
100%. Yes. I think the other value there, and you'll notice here that I'm a sucker for quotes. I love mantras. Like, these are the things that like keep me on track, and they become frameworks of my life I can build around. One that I've been obsessed with lately is from Maya Angelou, who's a writer, poet. Yes, I'm not as familiar with her as an entire human being I should. But this one part is that she described creativity as a muscle. And every time you use it, you get better at it. I think this is where the idea of writing every day comes in, where it's like every time you do something, every time you try and make an idea, that idea is kind of irrelevant. The act is in exploring, making an
Yeah.
idea and actualizing an idea. And whether it's shit or not doesn't fucking matter. It means that tomorrow you are one step better at forming new creative ideas. And I guess maybe the flip side here is you're one step further away from the entry level ideas that everyone has. And I'm sure that there's in songwriting, I'm sure there are common tropes, that there are common chord progressions, that there are whatever tropes that people fall back on. And every time you create, you get one step further away from this and one step closer to what Cal's voice is in this thing, away from whatever 8th grade Cal thought was cool and whatever a day to remember riff that lives in all of our heads or whatever. And eventually you wander down that path. Or I guess maybe Deftones is the more apt analogy here for what you're making now. But yeah, it is that fun process. And I think that is something that that is where my stubbornness has done me well. It's like, I will sit down every day. This is what I get to do every day. And that is part of, the isolation is a gift. It's like beautiful that I get to sit down and make videos every single day. And that has certainly done me well. And I think that is something that in the place I can be hard on myself, that is one place where I will give myself a lot of credit, is like, I'm fucking stubborn. I will do the thing just for the sake of doing the thing. And I believe that over time it will get better. And I understand that the first 10 years of this thing might suck. We're like with the podcast, we're at episode 103. I started this when I numbered the episodes, starting I went 001 with this idea of like, I understand that it's going to take 100 episodes for me to find my voice. It's going to take 100 episodes for me to get comfortable sitting here to talk to someone, and that the first 100 episodes are kind of garbage. And I'm proud of them. I'm happy with them. I enjoyed. I learned a lot. Like, there's a lot of great things I will say about them. But also, as I look back and watch episode 1 versus where I am now, it's like that was a shell of a human being of who I was, just trying to figure out how the fuck to exist in this space. And I think I look at most things in that way of like, I need to just do 100 episodes. And to some degree, they don't have to be good. They don't have to be my favorite. They don't have to be much. They just have to happen for me to get to a place that I can enjoy this thing and be comfortable and present and actually like do the thing that I think is mine and in my voice or whatever. And I assume songwriting for you works in a similar way here, where there is some sense of like, writing the riff every day is the equivalent of these 100 episodes. Yeah.
I can honestly say, like, listening to old ideas to this day, I'm not like hating it, but it's certainly, it can be jarring. I mean, especially even for us with our first record, EP, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Like, we play one song off of that.
Yep.
And I came and listened to it.
Yeah.
Not because I think it's terrible. It's just, I've listened to those songs so fucking much.
Yeah.
And I don't really have an attachment to them as much as I do now.
Yep.
With like newer stuff. So yeah.
I feel
it's one song we play off that. So
one question I had for you. So as I'm going back to referencing those two podcasts here, the Growing Up Christian podcast and Topics Under the Stairs podcast, my understanding, and I don't know if I understood this correctly, but I think that there's an album coming out in the future. I believe you described that album as being like the COVID album, and that there are songs that have come out since that were written since, and so the album is like kind of the first thing that was written, and then you've done stuff since. Am I butchering this? Did I completely misunderstand this? Or is the album kind of not old songs, but songs that you've been around for a while as ideas?
Well, the first one, Sunday, is certainly the COVID record.
Okay.
Because it was written before, but we released it during COVID.
Okay.
The full length that actually is like done, wrapped, mix and everything. I think the oldest song that's on there is about 5 years old.
Okay.
But there's definitely some newer things, so it's kind of spotty with it. But I mean, relatively speaking, it is rather old. Some of the songs, they're on there.
I have to ask this question, and please feel free not to answer if you would like to, but do you have a timeline for release here, where I've heard this album talked about in the future? Is this like in the next couple months things? Is there a date we want to say? Is there anything, or is it to be continued? And Lenora just came out, so we'll enjoy the single for a moment and cross that bridge when we get there.
It's definitely to be continued. I think we're working on getting masters, and I think that the idea here is shopping it for a bit and then kind of, going from there. So it could be a couple months, but
beautiful.
I think the idea is that just getting it in our hands, that we feel a lot better about it. At that point, I don't care if it does take another year, because we at least have the product.
Yep.
And like, we've been playing, I think like 3 of those songs live for the past like 3 years.
Okay.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Classic band stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yes, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So then what made these songs worth sitting on? Why have other songs come out before the album songs? Were the songs that have come out since, like Lenora, did they not quite fit with the vibe? Was there a different direction here? What made this collection of songs worth sitting on for the future, and what made the songs that are out now worth putting out now?
I think it's as simple as that. We needed some music, so we did 2 singles that are separate from the album that we wanted to release, just to, unfortunately live in a world now where you need to keep a train. I mean, the main one is Spotify.
Yep.
I mean, they punish you for not releasing music. It's really what it is, and it sucks. But you got to play the game. It's in anything in life, with with capitalism or everything, you play the game that that you have to do.
Yep.
So that's why we did those songs. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that is the
we needed music, essentially. Yeah.
That is the shitty part of any artistic project, is like, I think I started this being like, if this works, it'll be utopia. And it turns out that it works. And when it works, it is just kind of a lot of other businesses here. And I think being in a band is a similar thing of like, you do this and you go, I'm just going to write songs that are so good and people are going to love them. It's all going to work out. And like, ideally that is how it would go. Turns out, if you want to play the game, you're making TikTok, singing the songs in the alley behind your house, and like doing all these other things where it's like, it's not glamorous, it's not sexy, and it's equivalent to the other parts of any other job that we don't love doing. Yeah. That every job has, even your favorite job in the world, you're going to have to mop the floor, or whatever the fuck that example is. And like, making the TikToks is mopping the floor. Playing the Spotify game is mopping the floor here. Yep.
It certainly is. But yeah, that's just pretty much it. I mean, not that we don't like these songs, but I think if anything, releasing these songs is just showing that like we really like those older songs. We don't want that to just fall on deaf ears and just release an album into the aether. We want to build that and have people interested. And now hearing the songs like finally mix it's kind of crazy, because then you're like, oh shit, like this is the type of band that we are trying to be, and like hearing that again and like, oh, like some interesting things, and it helps then bring it back of where we're trying to go musically. Because again, another thing we're doing is we're going to do another single we're going to record soon. Yep. Just to kind of keep that, because I mean, we just don't know when we're going to have this release, but
I think that is the central challenge here also, is that like, as you write songs, you will further understand what Loudsounds is supposed to be and what you all want it to be. And that is then the interesting part of having these collection of songs that kind of predate the finding out process, where it is an interesting thing of like, you're kind of coming back to your origin, figure out why the origin makes sense. We almost like wrote the story and now you're writing the prequels to the story or something afterwards.
A bunch of people do that.
It's a very common success here. And it's an interesting kind of pattern to watch unfold. So that, you have these babies that you're letting mature and foster and grow, and kind of figuring out why these things make sense and why this is sound for Loudsounds. Yep. It's cool you've been playing them for a couple of years here as well. Then like, what is the process of then sitting on this? Like, I assume it must be a tense moment as you're kind of waiting for this all to come together, but it sounds like you have a lot of peace of like, I am happy that it's in the works, and I'll be even happier when it's in my hand. But it sounds like you've done a good job of like making peace with the slow nature of this machine and finding ways to keep it enjoyable for yourself along the way here.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been moments where it gets stressful. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast of, where we're recording. I mean, that person's also busy doing what they need to do. Yeah. But we keep busy with just, playing shows and just focusing on being a better band. Yep. And not just, falling by the wayside and giving up. But it's just stay busy. Stay busy as best as we can on all different facets. So and it'll be out when it's out. Hell
yes. I'd like to go back here then to the start of this adventure. So this is the kind of present day of this adventure, and the same idea here of telling the prequels, telling the story and then telling the prequels to it. I'm always curious about where this adventure starts for it. So I understand there's some bands here, again, from the Growing Up Christian podcast. I know you mentioned some of the bands you guys were in at the time, and please help yourself to a refill if you would like one. But yeah, plenty of stories there. I'm curious of like, where are you at 5 years old? Like, is there music in the house? Like, is this a very much black sheep adventure that you get into? Like, is someone listening to Metallica every day? And so then it kind of makes sense for you to stray from there into Deftones and heavier music and all this, other pieces that I assume are part of your history. And I'm assuming, yes, where does this thing start for you? Where is kind of your early memory of getting exposed to music, heavy music, alternative music, whatever you want to frame it?
I mean, it started when I was like 5 or 6. I'd plunk on my dad's. He had a Dulcimer, this like stringed instrument. If you're not familiar, but it's like it's in a key, so you can play anything. It sounds perfect. But I would do that, and I like plunk on a guitar. And my dad's a painter, an artist, and so he would always listen to music while he paints. So a lot of it would be like Elton John, Bruce Springsteen, REM, every Supertramp, like all of the classic bands.
Okay.
And my mom would be like Bruce. She would mainly be like Vince Gill and like Bruce Springsteen, and so there was always music present. There was no one else in my family is a musician though. Like my dad's an artist.
Mm-hmm.
My mom likes to write, but there's no like musician. I think it really just, I think who I was hanging out with at school and like finding the radio. And then I just got really into like new metal.
Yeah.
I think at my age, like everyone pretty much was into that, like Deftones or Slipknot or Korn or, you know, all of that stuff. And I think liking that, then met people that liked the same thing at like 7th grade, went to like all the Ozfests as a kid.
Hell
like,
yes.
Like 03, 4, and 5.
Were those like your first concerts?
Yeah, those are like my first concerts.
That's an insane first experience.
I was going to Ozfest in the middle of July with my trip pants, like super baggy and like sweating my ass off, but like having the time of my life. And seeing this like huge potpourri of just bands there, it just only got more diverse as each year went. And I would, you know, you'd listen to the new metal stuff, and then on Ozfest they would have like more metalcore acts. Like I think 04 had like it was like Unearthed, Shadows Fall, one of my favorite bands like Dark Sour was on there. And then I listened to that and then got into like Swedish death metal. Like Soilwork and In Flames and like Dark Tranquility and shit. So and like Opeth, and that's all I would listen to as a kid, like at like 14 years old, just like truly loving that shit. And then just, but always would go back to listen to what I did listen to as a kid, and just keep that in mind, that like, you know, that it is I listen to it for a purpose, and I still enjoy it, you know, and I can't just say like, oh, fuck that, I'm never going to listen to like Limp Bizkit again. But like, no, I mean, it served a purpose in my life. Like
100%.
I enjoyed it. I still like enjoy it for what it is. And I think as time went on, growing up and meeting new people and learning about different bands and branching out, and not just with metal, but like I said earlier, I was like doing a lot of indie bands. Like Radiohead was a big one. Wilco and like these more avant-garde bands that I was like, oh, cool. So music like can do these totally different things. It doesn't always need to be heavy. And I always wanted to kind of do that, like have heavy, but I always wanted to have an experimental side and have this sort of these lush moments or like these electronic things with it. Cause I'm really like bad at decision making and deciding. So I'm like, fuck, I want it all. So I'm just like, I can't just decide on just being an electronic band. I want to like heavy and like incorporate it somehow because I want to have that part in the song. Like, so I think that's, you know, I just kept learning just different bands and just wanting to just put it all together in this, you know, band type thing.
I have the same thing there, and I'll use the phrase here that is maybe a different connotation in the song, but in the Afro Man, like the special blend of herbs and spices reference here. I think that is exactly it. Of like by emulating any one of these bands, you become a knockoff of them. By finding the amalgamation of all these things, you then become your own unique thing, and it becomes this unique identity that is then fun to have. And I think for me, that's been a challenge of like, I like the metal world. I have a soft spot for like bad SoundCloud rap, and I don't totally know why. And there's so 100 reasons I think that I can theorize about. But ultimately, I'm just kind of a mutt of these two worlds. And I grew up somewhere between Eminem and Good Charlotte. I think like a lot of people my age probably. And somehow both those interests have diverged further into the weeds and the nuance of those are the titans of the subculture. That there's plenty of offspring for me to enjoy now. But it is kind of a similar thing here. I want to go back. You mentioned that you were playing. I'm forgetting the name of the instrument, but you were 5 or 6, and it was some.
The dulcimer. It's like a folk instrument. It's like this lap kind of instrument with 4 strings, and it's a not octave, it's a unison note, and then I think it's in the key of D.
Okay.
So and the frets are spaced differently. So you
Interesting.
can't play anything that sounds bad on it.
Sure.
It's like an open tuning essentially.
Beautiful.
For it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're playing this at 5 or 6. When do you start playing music more seriously? Or it sounds like this is the process of you, or the story you told is a process of you like learning to consume music that you enjoy. When do you start producing music that you enjoy?
I mean, I got my first guitar when I was like 11.
Okay. My favorite question to ask here is like, what is the story of this first guitar? Is this birthday money that you saved up? Is this a Christmas gift? Like, what is this first guitar? What is the story of this thing?
It was a Christmas gift. It was an acoustic electric Applause guitar.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's the same Christmas, but I mean, my parents, before that, I was doing clarinet like in 4th grade.
Sure.
And I always like kind of liked music, obviously, for that. But then they finally got me guitar because I was interested because it's a cooler instrument, even though clarinet's pretty sick. But I think around, if it was a Christmas or a birthday, they would get me, what was it called? Music Maker 7. I think that was the software I had. It was like basically, it was just like this big DAW, and you drag and drop loops, and I would just make songs with loops, like these like rock songs or rap songs, and I would do all these weird projects as a kid. Like as I got older, like I would do this one thing I made when I was like 13 or 14 called Porn King, and I would just make like porn music with Music Maker, and then I would do like that, and I had this fake like Greek metal band because I was really into like this band Nile who did Greek stuff. So I was like, oh, I better just emulate this. And like, it was all really just emulating, imitating, like, and that's really how I learned it. And but I would use the software and just drag in, make a song. And then I was like, maybe I can just write my own stuff. So I think my parents got me like an audio interface. It was like a Tascam. Right in this computer in our attic that wasn't finished. So it was really fucking hot all the time. But I would just sit up there on this computer and just like record the dumbest shit. Like my Greek metal record or my
Greek metal is crazy.
Greek metal or like my Porn King stuff. Or like, and then it started into like other stuff with friends that did music. I would do like these crazy grindcore bands and whatnot.
Cool. Yeah.
And that's how I learned how to like write and produce with this program. It's like, oh, cool. And then I got different programs and so on and so on.
That's funny. For me, video has always been this like weird thing of like it. I started when I was like 18 or 19, and it was always this kind of weird thing of like it seemed like it came out of the blue, and then as the years have gone on, I've unlocked like, oh, it turns out a couple years before I was doing this thing, a couple years before I was doing this thing. One of the things that kind of seems similar to what you're doing is I would like set up our family like video camera to film the TV of me playing Call of Duty and edit my montage on like a cracked version of Sony Vegas that I downloaded illegally onto our family computer. And of course the family computers always had too many viruses on it. It was like, in hindsight, it was for sure me trying to download these illegal video softwares. And I guess of all the things a kid can do on a computer to get viruses, that's a pretty harmless one. But sure, it slowed down everyone else's workflow because I wanted to edit my little videos here. And it was fun. It's similar kind of thing. You're like, I had no intention of doing this, but it was, in hindsight, 100% where I started to think about like watching Call of Duty montages and being like, how did they do that? How is that text tied to this thing? How are these things working? And then as I go back before that, one of my buddies described how we were in like 5th grade filming each other doing like soccer tricks. And I would go take these things and try and put them together into videos. And it was like, oh, so yeah, since 3rd grade, I've been making little videos in different forms. And I have no memory of it leading me to where I am now. But 100%, this has been a part of my identity since before I was consciously aware of it. And then somehow as I became an adult, it like matured into my identity and became a conscious part of it. But it is kind of an interesting thing you're talking about making this, Greek metal, where it's like, you had no idea that you were getting into music. You were just like, this is cool. I need to do more of this right now. I'm going to go sit in that shitty attic and ruin my day and figure out how to make more of this Greek metal music here.
Or like hum stupid songs to myself or like while I'm doing the dishes or I still do that to this day. I'll just like make the stupidest lyrics or, oddly, like whether it's about penises or whatnot, just like humming myself like while I'm doing dishes or while I'm walking the dogs, write a song about my dogs, walking them and whatnot. And it's just like, it's always on my mind. Like, just like, oh, just be musical and make a little melody here. It's fun. That's how I kind of get through my day. Whether it's like some sort of like stim or like some sort of getting my anxiousness out. That's what I would do.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've always soccer was the first half of my life, and then somewhere around 20, it kind of transitions from there into the camera stuff, and the camera stuff has just been the thing ever since. But soccer's always been the way that I interface with the world. So as you're trying to walk your dog here, it's like I was always kicking a rock, like imagining that I'm playing soccer along the walk here, and that was kind of the framework with which my brain operated in. And now it has become the camera stuff. But it was kind of interesting to combine these two worlds here. As you're describing like humming, walking the dog, there's some comment you made, and I'm looking for the exact quote here that I think I wrote down. That when you were first trying out for a band, this was from the Grown Up Christian podcast, you mentioned that you were like too scared to hum in public. And I think you're like half joking here and half making like a loose comment about this. Looking at me like you might not have said this, so I'm wondering if maybe someone else said on the podcast and I attributed it to you.
It might have been Sam, because the one of the hosts, we were in a band together.
Yes.
I think because he was we wanted him to be a vocalist.
Okay.
Because he was like too scared to like hum in public. He's like, I've never been a vocalist.
Okay. Maybe I misattributed it. Okay. I got my wires crossed there.
It's all right.
Cool. Okay. Were you then, it sounds like you, started music here and kind of got into clarinet and kind of got into guitar. Was this like something that you were hesitant to show people? Were you also someone who was scared to hum in public? Or is that like, were you always kind of happy to share your ideas with the universe here?
I was always just like a weird kid, like super, like always trying to be creative and something.
Okay.
And I just didn't really care. So I just would do funny things. Just mainly what it would be is like doing music, but being funny about it, or like saying silly things.
But that's almost a way to like shield yourself from criticism, right? Is by being silly about it. Like, I get to do the thing, but if you make fun of me, well, I'm making fun of you too. So
exactly.
Fuck you.
Yeah, it definitely is a shield. I mean, I would say that I'm like 90% of the time not serious, like joking around. I think that's a deep rooted issue, but
I'm the same way.
But like, I got a joke. It just helps me get going. And I think with music when I was younger, just like writing these funny things, that's why I did Porn King.
That tracks.
I wanted to write porn music that was funny.
Watching
the
funny.
The shitty, like, I didn't have like HBO or Cinemax, but like scratchy things, like, oh, I'm trying to see a boob, but there's music in the background. Like that music's fucking hilarious. There's like a wah pedal. I want to do that.
And you sure did.
Yeah, I did.
This is where we learned that your like side project here is that an OnlyFans audio producer or something.
Yeah, and I made a logo. Like it was like Porn King. I took the Lion King play.
Okay.
So I put the lion on the CD because back then you would burn CDs and stuff. So I would just make a demo of it. I put the Lion King, and I just put Porn King. It was funny. It was like,
hell yeah.
It's porn and Lion King.
Sounds
I'm
great.
13, 14 years old.
What better middle school, early high school project could you possibly
learning about
have?
my body and I know all this stuff, That's really what it was.
I have like a vivid memory of being in chemistry in, I guess, my junior, sophomore year of high school, somewhere in there. And one of my friends was like, 99% of the time, you're the least serious person I've ever met in my entire life. And the 1% I need you, I know you'll be there. I know you'll be serious. Yeah. And it always stuck out to me as like a very honest and accurate representation of who I am. But 99% of the time, it's not going to be serious or productive coming out of my mouth. And I like to believe that I could, lock in for the 1% of the time it's important. But it's also always kind of like a backhanded compliment of like, wait, 99% of the time you think I'm full of shit, and like probably pretty accurate. That's probably a pretty good metric. And maybe it's 98% if I give myself credit on a good day here. And I guess, the podcast, I'm forced to lead into that 1% because if I just sat here and talked about farts all day, it'd be kind of an underwhelming conversation for 100 hours that I've done now. But I can identify with that very much growing up and like using that humor as a shield from all the things of like, I think this is cool, but if I can make fun of myself in the process of doing it, then I can, explore the thing and have, humor as a shield between me and this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When did you get comfortable in this identity? So as we're talking about this now, it's like, you're very much Cal, you're very much a musician, you're very much making music. Honestly, you're past the Porn King days of producing content. I think, again, maybe there's, a crazy DIY side hustle going on here. But from my understanding, what I gathered online, it seems like, you're very much a serious musician. I use that word in quotes because none of us are fucking serious. None of us are doing this thing with like a tie on. It's all just, let's get fucked up in our basement and make something that I think sounds cool. And hopefully someone else also thinks it sounds cool. But when it sounds like, in high school and middle school, you're kind of going to the Ozfest and you're kind of happily making kind of a mockery and kind of figuring this thing out, but also still, making shitty music because it's fun and silly to make shitty music. Mm-hmm. When does this thing become a more serious endeavor for you? I assume someone in high school started playing shows and kind of go like, oh, I think I don't want to be that guy. I think I actually want to make something that people like earnestly here.
About like when I got super passionate, I mean, probably I had like my first band really, it was probably, it was definitely high school. Yeah. Playing shows and just seeing the reaction of people and then going to shows and seeing bigger bands and like whether it's the command of the crowd or their lights or, the whole production. I was like, I just would love to be on the other side and just like being in the moment of that. I've always, envisioned myself singing or playing something and seeing other people in the crowd singing back what you're singing, like what it's about, and being really into it. And I've always, and then that idea of that person experiencing joy or, just enrichment in life.
Yeah.
I find that rewarding to me because not only am I being rewarded of just making something I want to listen to, but you also want to listen to as well.
100%. Yes.
That's pretty much when I was like 17, I was like, I kind of want to do this. And then as I got older, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to do this. I'll just do this till I'm dead or something.
Yes. I have the same thing of like, I appreciate that we get to be part of a good part of people's lives or a cathartic part of people's lives or whatever that is. And that to me has always been like a part that keeps going here. Hell yes. Shout out that light. I filmed the other day and I forgot to charge these. I probably should pause and just, it plugs it. Let's take 30 seconds here and plug that light in. The story is that I filmed the music video the other day and I forgot to charge these and I charged them before. I thought we had enough battery. Turns out we don't quite have enough battery. So give me 2 seconds to plug that into a cable and we'll be right back here. Success.
Great.
We're all plugged in and good to go here. Sorry about that. If you're just listening, one of the lights turned off here. If you're watching, you saw a light turn off. So power to you. I was telling you off here that I identify as a planner here. So it's very cool to very publicly be like, oh, my planning fell short here.
Roll with the punches,
Beautiful. That's life. Yeah, they're both plugged in. We should be good to go. And if we're not, who gives a fuck? No one's going to kill us. Beautiful. We were in high school. You're starting to get into music as a more serious venture here. So I assume those first bands here precede this all. Like, do you remember your first show at this time? So going to shows was Ozfest here. When was the first time like on stage here?
First show was my backyard.
Hell yes. That is as good as it gets.
Yeah, we had a Halloween party.
Okay.
And my first band, we decided to play on my porch.
Okay.
And it was supposed to rain, so we like put up this huge friggin' tarp.
Yeah.
Over us, and there must have been only like 10 of my friends there, but we like made a haunted house out in the woods.
Hell yeah.
But that was our first show. I was playing bass for this band called Serrated.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did it go?
It's fun. It was fine. It was fun.
Okay.
I thought it was really cool. It was like, oh, I get to play music for my friends real quick.
Hell yes. I remember having a moment of like, growing up as a kid, I would go to concerts and see the bands. And the first time I met someone in a local band, I had a real moment of like, oh, fuck, I didn't realize that I could do that. I didn't realize this was like a thing people could do. And it sounds like being on stage the first time is a step that I never got to. But it seems like that would be a real actualizing moment of like, oh, like this is the first dose of the high. And all of a sudden you're just chasing that high for the rest of your life. Was it kind of like you were on stage once, you're like, fuck, I need to do this every day for the rest of my life? Or was it kind of a slower burn after this first show here?
I think it was right as it started. I think I always liked it as much. Like as time going on, I would get anxious about it. And, I mean, obviously people have stage fright. It's just normal. But I always love that idea of being on stage and all eyes are on you. Yeah. It's terrifying, but it's also like rewarding when something cool happens that you do and you're like, oh shit.
Yep.
I think right from the beginning, I was like, yeah, this is something I could always do.
Hell yes. And then you're playing bass there. I assume at some point this becomes vocals later on. Where does that kind of transition happen? Or is it bass for a long time? But what is this evolution from bass now to mostly vocals here?
So after that, I mean, it wasn't till this band I was in called Cartasia.
Okay.
With all of like my best friends, I was playing guitar and my other guitar player was actually in this band called The Hotelier.
Okay.
He was in this band with me. And we had a screamer, and I don't know why I wanted to sing. I think it must have been like my friend's like, hey, you kind of have a decent voice. Like I was like, really? He's like, yeah. So I think I was like, oh, I'll do clean vocals with this and play guitar. And I was just doing rhythm.
Sure.
So nothing super meticulous. I think that's when it started. And then there was another band after that. I did the same type of thing where I would do guitar and sing, but mostly rhythm, write a lot of the stuff. And then it wasn't until like now that I was like, I don't want to play guitar. I don't want to bring my gear and lug that around. But I just like want to be free on stage and like fuck around and jump around and whatnot. I like that. And I want to just, because when you're playing guitar and singing, like people are either gifted with that and they can do it so well. Like I'm so envious of the people that can do that.
Yep.
But the ones that kind of fudge it, it's like now you're not either, you don't sound good singing and your guitar playing or bass playing isn't that good.
Yep.
So it's like, what, can't really compensate for that. It's just, you'd rather just like drop it and just be good at one thing live.
My bigger gripe here, and of course this is from, you're coming at this from a musical perspective, I'm coming at this from a visual perspective, from a fan's perspective. My issue with having a frontman who is playing guitar and singing is that they're standing still.
Yeah.
And there's a couple bands I'm thinking of here specifically that I have a real hard time getting into watching them live because it's just a couple of people standing still doing something. And to me, visually, this stinks. Like, I understand that sonically they can be the best thing in the world, but like sonically isn't enough for me to like a band. I need the full experience here. I want to see the thing. I want to see having fun. I want to have fun with you. I don't like this idea that you're going to stand still and do a thing like a statue and I'm going to have fun. It's like, no, fuck you. You're going to like lead the dance here. Show us how much fun to have here. That is the job to me of a front man, is to lead the dance and have so much fun that everyone else has to have fun with you.
Yeah.
And I have a tough time when the band's guitarist or vocalist, main singer is also playing an instrument of like, it just feels so static. And there are exceptions to this, of course. There are plenty of people who can do it. I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm just kind of saying that to be politically correct here and open it up. And like, generally speaking, my impression of bands like that, it's always, it just feels so static. And I think that's an important piece here. There's like, as you get into vocals, it's like, it's almost kind of a blessing that you don't play guitar while you do it, because it allows you to be mobile here. The flip side is, I believe you said that you bring your keys on stage, you bring like synthesizers on stage because you want something to do with your hands when you're not singing. You gotta need some comfort here, which to me makes sense then, that the roots are in playing bass or playing instruments where you were occupied at all times, and the singer then has these lulls. Is that something you're still doing? Are you still bringing like the synthesizer keys? I forget exactly what it was on stage, but bringing some element on stage with you to have to mess around during parts you're not singing?
Yeah, I still, for the most part, I've been just doing like a little sampler, a little Roland sampler.
Okay.
I'll like sometimes have my keys in my sampler. I think really, I mean, yes, it's for something for me to do with my hands, but like I also do like, not that vocals aren't an instrument, but when there are those moments, I want to participate in those sort of instrumental parts. I enjoy that. It gives me like that other enrichment of like, I'm playing piano for this part and we're all kind of like jamming together. I still do that. It's mainly just been the sampler though. But I do want to get a whole rig, but that just means I have to bring more shit.
Fair enough. Fuck. Yeah.
All right. I just dug myself a hole.
I think it's also smart as a way to make yourselves unique. And it's like, you could just backtrack those, right? Like there's no need for a person to play it. I think my friends here, they're in a band called Dreamwake and they're doing great things. They have a saxophone in the band. And I think that the band as a unit is incredible. They could backtrack the saxophone parts. I think the beauty of the saxophone live is that it's just a differentiator, is that we've seen 4 people on stage doing everything forever, all the time. There's no, I don't want to say no way to make that unique, but it's very hard to stand out in that way. And the saxophone has then become like such a, what's the opposite of polarizing? An attractor, I guess, like a unique visual thing that everyone can latch onto and go, oh, that's the band with the saxophone.
Yeah, exactly. There's a talking point of like, not just like, there were 4 bands, they're all 4 members. What about that one band with the saxophone?
And they are, I don't want to be very clear, I don't want to sound like reduction. It's not that they're successful because of the saxophone. They're successful because their sound is unique and the saxophone is part of that uniqueness. But that to me is such a valuable tool to have in the arsenal of a band, especially visually. Where on the record, it doesn't matter if there's, the saxophone in the band or the equivalent, whatever, someone recorded offsite, whatever. But live, it is such a unique thing that it's like, oh, fuck. And I think this is where like the Sleep Tokens of the world have found success, is like, they are just visually compelling, and everything else is almost secondary to a point where you just see them on stage and go, who is that person? If nothing else, you're going, and of course these questions are all answerable, but there is an immediate visual thing of like, fuck, who is this? That then makes them stand out. And when you see a video, you see a Snapchat, like all these things, they are then unique. And I think that bringing the synth with you is a very smart tool of like, that was the guy with the synth. And whether you play the synth once throughout the set, whether you play it the whole time, whether you are backtracking 90% of it and just kind of filling it where you want, like it's almost secondary to the important differentiator here of like, we are unique. We are doing something that other people are trying or not doing. And this then adds a ton of value to the band. And I think that is a huge asset to have in a band and any onstage performance kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, especially with a saxophone, I mean, that's cool. I'm assuming it's mostly like saxophone solos that are like, you know, there's that
Yeah.
moment of like, holy shit, this is cool. Like,
Yep.
there's a saxophone solo.
Yep.
You know, and like, you know, personally, that's like one of my favorite instruments. Like, oh, cool, I get to see that live. You know,
100%. And they're like a gent band, so it tracks. I think they identify as wavecore is the term that they've coined. And yeah, it works perfectly for them. It's a great thing, and yeah, there's 100 reasons it's great. I think one of those reasons is that just the visual appeal of it. Yeah, seeing a saxophone player, it's novel, it's new. I've never seen a saxophone player in a metal band. I've certainly heard instruments that are not metal instruments in metal songs. I've never seen them come on stage with a band. All of a sudden, this is like a whole new, like, what the fuck is this? What is going to happen? Is he going to go back? Is it just a one-time thing? What is happening here? And now I'm engaged for the whole 25-minute set. And I think, the synth is a similar element here. Or
the sampler, I mean, definitely
Sampler,
with
sorry,
like, I get to have a little bit of my personality on there because I'm sampling shit. Like between songs, I'll just hit a sample. There's like the Twin Peaks theme song, just like playing it. And then it's all of a sudden it's reaching out to other people.
Yep.
They're like, oh, this is a Twin Peaks fan over here. Or like there's certain samples from meme videos or Tim and Eric or something that I'm like playing in the middle of songs, you know, during the breaks and whatnot. I'm just like, this is my little fun moment of there's my, you know, comic relief during it.
And also to make it human, I think is the other huge part of this of like making good music is not enough anymore, right? Being a successful band, being a band that is worth going to see requires 10 other elements. I think this is one place where the podcasting, and I'm going to take myself out of the conversation and put like the downbeat in there. It's like, I was listening to downbeat and they're explaining like the reason that podcast works is not that like, they don't talk about the record. They don't talk ever about the new band, but you hear the person go, I like that person. Now what do they do? And all of a sudden you're a fan of the band without ever hearing a single note that has been played, which is kind of a fascinating way. And I think this is a similar element of like, by playing a Tim and Eric thing, it's like, you're going to make someone laugh. And that person may never have thought about the band, but all of a sudden they go, who was that guy? What's that guy about? I need to know more about this fella.
Why do you have a spaghetti sample that goes through it, you know? And it's another conversation. It's like part, like low-key, like networking to people and like reaching out, you know, like, you know, I do appreciate, you know, when people come up to me and talk to me about that stuff. So it's like, oh no, I'm a regular dude. Like, I mean, granted, I'm just in a local band, but come talk to me. I don't care. Like, we talk about anything.
It is to me like the complete polar opposite spectrum of like, another controversial figure, but Michael Jackson. It's like they describe his fame as like, part of his fame is that he was such an enigma, is that no one knew who the hell he really was. There isn't a ton of interviews. This is before all of the media that we have now. And I think it's interesting now the podcast is kind of like the podcast thing as an entity has now taken us to the complete other side of like, we don't want entities anymore. We're now curious, like, who is this person? What do they like? What shows do they like? Like all these little pieces that now make a person so much more compelling than just a person on a stage. Because we've seen so many people on a stage that is now not that novel or cool of a thing, or not as novel or cool of a thing here. I'm curious here. The other piece that I think ties in here is you describe yourself as like or I'm using the word cinephile to describe you. I guess you describe yourself as a movie fanatic or a person who's very cinematically inclined. I'll use the word cinephile because it's a simpler way than using all these flowery terms. How does that impact the music writing here? I think I've heard you describe that like you try and write songs that kind of go on these story arcs as well, that kind of have ebbs and flows, and they're not just rigid song structures. And I think this probably also aligns with kind of the Deftones-esque inspiration that I think underlines a lot of this here. How does all the movie influence kind of impact the songwriting process here?
Movie's the main thing. I mean, I'm definitely like a media nut.
Okay.
With like movies and video games, just like a lot of good stories. Just like I love a good story, but like movies are like my main thing. I think how it influences me, especially like a really good like soundtrack or score through a lot of movies, whether it's like John Carpenter, Tangerine Dream, you know, and obviously like Trent Reznor doing those and making that movie so much more enjoyable. It's like, oh, I know that, or like that's so cool.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a part of it. And then I think with movies, there's obviously going to be imagery that I like to take in whether it's horror or like some sort of drama, and taking it and utilizing that, what I saw, and writing like lyrics, whether it's based on something or a mood that was, you know, during that song's creation. Outside of it, I want to encapsulate for the song itself.
As you're writing songs, are you visualizing the story unfolding here? And I'm in a very general term, like, are you writing a a song going to be like, I am now walking down the horror movie hallway and approaching the monster? Like, is there like a visual element that partners along with the audio element that you're creating here? Are these two processes separate, where you just kind of envision the horror house and go, what would this sound like? And these two processes kind of become unique. Like, how much are these intertwined? How much are you envisioning and creating a visual world as you're making the audio world here?
I would say not all the time.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a huge influence on how I approach something. Like, here's the part in the song where it's like very chill and sort of moody and lo-fi or ambient, and I want to ramp it up into something that's pretty jarring and heavy, and like kind of have this like, just like how a movie or like a lot of, you know, great dramas will have these ebbs and flows of going up and down. Here's the mountain. I mean, I guess I would say like 85% of the time I'm kind of thinking like that. Otherwise, I'm just in a fuck all mood and just like, I just want to write this fucking thing and just make this crazy heavy thing or like chill thing.
100%.
But it's definitely a huge influence for it, for sure.
That's fascinating to me, and I'm curious then where this goes in the future, where if you started as a bass player and right now you're a songwriter and composer and a vocalist in a band, I'm curious where this goes in the future. And I think the analogy I'm using here is, for me, it's like this thing started as photo. It was always supposed to be photo, and then eventually I got more into video because I liked being able to craft my own thing, and just I evolved, and all of a sudden the thing I wanted to make evolved along with it. And then now this video thing has evolved into a lot of like green screen stuff, Unreal Engine stuff, where I'm now creating worlds, and some of this is just by budget, where it's like we can't the example I always go is like, some of my friends want to do a video under the Northern Lights, and it's like, well, we're not fucking going to the Northern Lights. That's financially prohibitive. We're not going out in the middle of the ice while they're drunk. Like, this is just not going to happen. Can we make this digitally? The answer is yes. And so a lot of the evolution there has been kind of forced by creative goals or whatever, but it's evolved. This whole thing has changed, and where I was 10 years ago is not where I am now, and it's where I don't think I'll be in 10 years from now, right? Like, I assume something will have to continue to change here. For you, is there a world where you end up making short films? Like, is filmmaking, is score writing an interesting thing to you that like not gonna happen today, but is there a world where in 10 years you're going, I'd like to give that a try someday?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Like film score, or even like
have you given it any goes? Have you
No, I've never really done it. Or what's it, Foley art?
Yep.
Like
Foley's fun. Yeah. That's a fun,
that shit
silly
is
art.
Fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Like I could sit and watch like YouTube shorts or reels of just somebody in a room with these strange objects that make sound and like translate to eggs frying or something. Like, that's how they do it. So like, that's always that aspect of being creative, of what, what they can make out of that. That's always, I would totally do film scoring. Just seeing a mood of a piece and like, I'm directing how you should feel like sonically.
Yep.
I think that's fascinating.
Foley art is a fascinating one, and always is analogous to me of like the prop department of like, a lot of shields in movies are just lids of garbage cans that have been painted and manipulated. It's like the way that we take these like mundane objects, and Foley is a similar thing here, where you're making the sound effects. So you're, putting on your dad's boots and stomping on a wooden floor and going, we need a concrete floor here. We need a cardboard box over this, and kind of, these very rudimentary and simple ways, and then make these intricate sounds and then get layered in and mixed in. And it's all of a sudden, it's this very elaborate, dramatic scene that was created with almost silly inputs.
You would never think of like bones breaking, like snapping celery or something. You're like, oh, cool.
It is.
And you believe it when you're watching the film. You believe that bone is broken. It's like, it's just somebody behind a microphone with a carrot or something. And that's how they make that sound.
I have trouble with movies, and this is always a weird part, is like the phrase I always use here is that like the Michael Jordan of music videos is making movies. Like, the Michael Jordan of music videos is not making music videos anymore. They have graduated into bigger projects here. And so then to me, it's like, I should be taking inspiration from watching the classics. And I've never been a movie person, and now I'm even less of one, because I'm so aware with the visual equivalent here, but I'm so aware of the celery breaking is the bones breaking. That what I'm hearing is not the bones breaking. What I'm hearing was not even on set at all. What I'm hearing was some person in a lab in, very casual clothing breaking a stick of celery here. And like the lighting example here to me is like, everything feels like I'm watching a play. I'm so aware that these are millionaires playing dress up, reciting lines that someone else wrote, that there's someone holding a microphone over their head, that there's 6 camera guys, that there's 100 lights. And I'm so curious about where the lights are. And I get so caught up in all these processes that I almost forget to pay attention to the plot. And I have no appreciation for the plot because there's 100 other things that I'm focused on here. Where it sounds like to you, the pieces of the whole thing make the whole more interesting to you. And it feels like two sides of a similar coin, or two sides, opposite sides of the same coin, I guess what I'm trying to say here. Is that ever distracting to you as you're like focusing on, the score and you're going, oh, that is a clever thing they did there with the string section or whatever?
I wouldn't say, it's not like a deterrent for me.
Yeah.
I think really when it comes to speaking about film, I think as the product, I want the product to, the first thing I want it to do is just make me feel a way that the film is trying to make you feel, whether that's being uncomfortable, happy, sad, scared, enraged.
Sure.
And I think that all of those pieces that make that film, whether it's the Foley art, the score, they're trying to convince you to feel that. And then that's sort of the purpose of film, right? Is that entertainment of feeling a certain way and enjoying what you're watching, for whatever reason is enjoyment because you're uncomfortable. You like all of those pieces are purposeful for that actual film. Yeah.
I find myself so aware of the components that it's hard for me to get to suspend my disbelief enough to get immersed in the components of it. And to some degree, that's my own brain just being cynical. I am cynical. I am stubborn. I understand that these are not always flattering traits, but they are traits that are 100% a part of me. And to some degree, I feel like watching a movie, it's like I'm watching Chris Angel being like, I want to know how you did that trick. And I refuse to believe you did that trick because I know that the trick is not real. I know you didn't levitate. Factually, and maybe I'm wrong, with someone out there who's arguing in favor of levitation right now, but to me it's like, I don't believe you're floating right now. I believe that there's a string somewhere, there's a camera magic here somewhere, there's a platform we don't see, there's something we don't see here. How are you levitating? And I don't give a fuck that you say you're levitating. I want to know what the fuck the secret is here. And I feel like I watch movies with the same energy of like, I know this isn't real. Where's the trick here? How are you fooling me? Where's the lie that you're trying to tell here?
Or like finding something in film that is like, when it comes to like what I like is like watching films that have effects, like crazy stuff, and they're not using computers, or it's actually prosthetics or like real things, like a lot of Christopher Nolan things. He's actually blowing shit up, or like, old 80s horror films where there's like, this is a latex arm and we're ripping apart, and like getting creative on that level instead of just punching in. And I mean, there's not to be a deterrent on someone that creates via computer. I mean, but for me personally, I don't find that as interesting. I want to see the reality of it. That they made this with these tools. Or I mean, with the computer, I mean, you can see with someone uses a computer that you're so convinced it's real, but it's not.
That's exactly, to me, the most flattering compliment I get when I create a green screen thing is someone goes, "Oh, you weren't actually there." And it's like, thank you. Bingo. And it's this funny process of like, as things come out of Unreal Engine, like we watch a video game and you go, oh, it's not real. And so then my job is part of the process of the green screen stuff that I don't think is appreciated or understood or acknowledged at all oftentimes, is that as it comes out of the 3D software and I've put the person in the world, then it's taking this image that is sterile and clean and adding in blurs, adding in imperfections, adding in chromatic aberration, adding all these little things that would happen to a camera that don't happen to a virtual camera because it's not in the real world. Not real. It's not. There's nothing real about it. And it's this kind of fine art, and it's kind of a counterintuitive art. If you end up with a thing that is almost so perfect that you go, no. I need to make this messy again. It has to be messy to be plausible. And of course, with the Northern Lights example, it's like, I don't think anyone thought we flew to Sweden or Scotland or whatever, Iceland, wherever the fuck the Northern Lights are, Northern Canada, to make that happen. But there are times where someone goes, oh, you weren't in that field. And it's like, no. Thank you. That is the highest compliment. It's kind of a weird thing to create something that is, emulating reality to such a degree and not real. And then the compliment is like, oh, I didn't know you did it that way. And it's
it looks believable to a sense that it's not cheap or like AI or something. It was like, okay, it's at least like appealing to the eyes. It's aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. And it's an interesting thing. And like, they're also, plenty of people just don't know that it was a thing. And that to me, my cynical brain goes, well, how could you not have known? How could you not have seen that this wasn't real? But it is also flattering when someone goes, oh, bands will come back to me and say, people didn't know. And it's like, cool. I'm surprised they didn't, but that's flattering. That is a mission accomplished here. It's kind of a weird thing to do a job so well that the job is not even seen anymore, which I think is probably true of a producer or mixer, right? It's like, if you mix a song so well that we don't realize that a person was involved in it, it's like, great. It should just sound like a song. It shouldn't sound like there is auto-tune. We shouldn't hear auto-tune on the vocals. There is pitch correction happening here. There is compressors on the guitars, but we don't ever want to be aware of them. And in that sense, I always equate this like a referee in a sports game. Like the best referee is not noticed on the field. We don't ever want to know that the referee was out there. We want them to just do the thing and call the thing in such a way that is so sterile that no one ever notices that you were involved in this production whatsoever. And I try and identify in a similar vein here of like, I'm filming a video, I'm making a thing. I want you to have no idea that I was involved in this thing, which is kind of a weird way to then, be in charge of making this thing, because I don't want to be responsible for it almost. But it is almost kind of the perfect goal here. And I assume with the songwriter, there's a similar thing of like, I don't want you to know that this was 10 takes. I don't want you to know that this song is the 5th version of this song. I want you to feel like I'm singing this for the first time and it was a spontaneous creation here.
Yep. Or all one take. Yeah. It's just like we didn't do like part by part by part. It's like all one take. And that's sort of the thing.
Or being on stage, it's like, I don't want you to know that we've rehearsed this 100 times. I want you to think that tonight is the best night of the whole tour, the best night of the whole thing, and that this is an organic experience. It's not, but if we can sell that illusion, then we did it here.
For sure.
Beautiful. As we wrap up here, one last thing I want to touch on here is you did a 4-day run in June. I believe it was in Edict's van, so shout out Edict. They're good friends of the show as well. 4-day run. Any adventures there? Did the van break down at all? Was there any like crazy food poisoning that ended the run here? Like, I feel like part of touring is, the underbelly of all the not glamorous stuff. So the shows are great, and from what I saw online, looked cool. There's like a video recap you guys posted, all made it look nice and fun here. Were there any adventures, any surprises there that we weren't aware of?
No, like van breakdown. I mean,
beautiful.
George takes good care of his van. He just put on new tires, I think, before he got that. Trying to think of any good adventures. I mean, the last show we played was at Hutke's, or I think that's what it's called, Hutke's in Western Mass.
Okay.
And it was kind of hot outside, and they serve food there.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to fire up the kitchen. And it was like 90 degrees in the entire fucking venue. I mean, the food was good. It was good food. I was fucking sweating. I was dying.
I would have rather been hungry and cold than full and hot.
I can at least like make myself warmer when it's cold. With it's like I'm in a building and it's hot. I can't make myself colder. I just can't.
Yeah.
There was that, and then what else did we do? I mean, I liked after or during people's sets were not sorry, but I would go on just like skateboard cruises, like on a longboard, and just kind of chill and like learn, just like skate around the cities and whatnot, or the towns, and just kind of relax and like unwind that way.
That is, I think, the counterintuitive part of tour is the parts you remember the most are the skateboard trips at the venue, and it's not being at the venue, it's not being in the van, it's the Bucky stop or whatever, fast food stop on the way to the place, and like I think that's always the part that even still surprises me, even having lived through it, being aware of and having had those same experiences. When I hear someone else say it, it's like, oh yeah, that is, and there is something that becomes then normal about being in the venue and playing the show, and it's the skateboard trip of like, how the fuck did I get here? Yeah. It's cool that I am here right now. It is a surprising thing that I made it to get to skateboard through whatever the fuck town I'm in and whatever the fuck state I'm in.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, I guess the main thing would be like one of the nights we stayed at, our guitar player, Tim, a family friend of his, we're in Jersey, and we stayed at their house, and they were so nice. Like so much, like just good hospitality. We got there at like 1 a.m. and they were asleep. And they just like, when you get there, do whatever you want. Like we went around the corner, and like they had like this wall of just like really, really nice like bourbons and whatnot. And the aunt and I, the other guitar player, we found this like $600 bottle of like this really, really nice Jack Daniels. Like, can I just try this right now? And like we did. And I'm like, oh wow. She was like telling us, like, try whatever, do whatever you want. And like woke up the next day, she made us breakfast and just like treated us like actual kings, or just like, that was just very nice. Very nice to do. And there were just like good moments of that. And then great conversations in the van. I think that's the best part.
100%. Yeah, there is something. Yeah. That is a part of tour that I think is the hardest to convey to other people, is how close you become to everyone.
Yeah.
Just by function of living in such close confinement in a way that like, I can only relate to a college dorm room is the only other example that comes anywhere close to this to me.
Like a cool sleepover.
100%. Yeah. But even that, it's like for one night, it's hard to express. And then over the course of 4 days, 5 days, a month, however long this thing goes on, And then also that you're like not living through glamour, I think is the other part of this, where like I think that's the difference between like a sleepover. It's a sleepover. It's like you're going to get your favorite snacks and you're going to pull out all the stops and make, the
mom's down the hall.
100%.
Like,
There's
you
all
puke, we're going to clean this up. You know, you shit your pants, you can go home, whatever you do.
100%. Yes. And with tour, it's like you shit your pants. Now you're just sitting in shit for 6 more hours. So we get to somewhere. Yeah. That's kind of it. And it is those like humbling moments that I think make it, a really tight body experience here.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I got a couple last things here. We've successfully reached our hour here. One last thing I've been adding to the pile here, I would like to add to the pile here, is, and I'll ramble after I ask this because I think it's a big question that I'll give you a second to digest here. But it's a moment you felt successful. And so I'm always curious here of like, there are so many pieces of this that I think it's hard to sometimes for me to smell the roses here. And I think there are a lot of things I've done that I'm grateful to have gotten to do, but it's hard to appreciate the moment. And it's only when I look back and go, oh yeah, it was kind of cool that I was there. And if we're talking about the band here, we're talking about like, it could be playing bass at your first show. Like that could be the moment you felt successful, is the first time you got to be in front of people and go, hell yeah, these 10 people do give a fuck about me. I am seen, I am heard. It could be producing the record. It could be getting something going here. What is a disaster of my life here? We'll pause right there for 1 second. That for me. Our SD card filled up, and it turns out that I forgot to change back to 24 frames. I was asking about, successful high water marks here. Where's the time you felt successful in this whole thing? So where's the moment where throughout this process that you were like, damn, I'm grateful to be here. I'm happy to be here. What is one that stands out as a high water mark of this adventure for you?
I think one of the coolest shows I ever did, it wasn't in this band. I was in this band called Forest Fires. It was one of my indie rock bands. We played, so in Providence, they have like water, the river that goes through there, and they would do Water Place Park, like concerts for the radio station WBRU. It doesn't exist anymore. And it was called the Rock Hunt, and you would do like about all the bands, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
We didn't win, but we came like second place, and you still get to play these like big shows after that, like one of the consolation prizes. So one of the things that we chose was doing one of these shows, and we opened for Andrew McMahon on the little like river basin over there in Providence. And I mean, he's massive, and we played that show, and we must have played in front of like, I don't know, a couple thousand people, and like sloped in and just playing guitar in front of that many people, which is like a really cool moment.
Hell yeah.
I was like, okay, I want to keep doing this for that many people. And that was probably the most I've played till. I haven't played anymore, but like,
cool.
I think that was like sort of told me that like, I'm doing this for this reason. I want to play in front of this many people and like connect with that many people live at any given moment.
That's beautiful. And I think that is, those are valuable, I think, moments to cherish. And I think sometimes I get to those moments and I go, oh, this is another day. This is what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not until I look back and go, nope, that was an important piece of wind in my sails to keep me going here. And I think it's nice to have, a destination to aim for here. And of course, I think we talked earlier about the mountain, where it's like the destination. If you end up in a place where you're playing in front of that many people every night, you're going to look for the next amount of people to play in front of. Like there is no amount of people. Taylor Swift, I'm sure, is still going like, what's bigger than an NFL stadium? Like, where can I always go back to, there's a Metallica concert in like the 90s, and like, I think it's Russia as it's coming out of a really oppressive time. And so they have like it's like a state mandated attendance at a festival. So Metallica plays to, I don't know if it's 1 million people. I don't know if it's 500,000, but it's some like a sea of people that is mind numbing. And I've known the number before, and I'm forgetting what it is, but the video's on YouTube. And it's just the most unbelievable looking thing. And of course, you realize in hindsight that like it probably wasn't that many people all being fans of Metallica. It was probably some version of like, you're coming to this because it's a show of force, and we're going to assert Russia as being great by having this many people here, which makes it a little bit darker to watch and impress. But there is like it is both a beautiful thing to appreciate that, and also I think worth appreciating that like that amount of people is fleeting, and it's nice to have it now. And also, if we get there in the future, it's just going to keep growing. That expectation will keep moving here. But I think it's important to be grateful for those when we get them. And I think, for me, it's a similar thing of like, there are moments and things I get to work with, people I get to meet, that I go, damn, this is another day.
Yeah.
And then only in hindsight, it's like, no, it's pretty fucking crazy that I went from making Call of Duty montages for myself in 7th grade and filming my TV to being in the room with this person. And those things are worth, celebrating here and being grateful for the journey here. And appreciate the journey. Make sure we're fully appreciating it.
Yeah, those 1,000 people that were watching me that day had no idea that I was making porn music at 13 years old in my hot ass attic.
Now they do, if they are here. Shout out to those people. Beautiful. 2 last questions for you. 2 quick ones here. One, what is something you're currently learning here? So in the context of music, in the context of anything in life, I guess outside of that, it's going to be related to production. I know you do a lot of like kind of demoing yourself out. I think you described that like you don't want to write a guitar riff, you want to write an entire song so that you can kind of present the idea in the context that it exists in your brain here. What's something you're currently learning? Is this like a mixing thing? It could be a guitar thing you're trying to get better. It could be a vocal thing you're trying to get better at here. It could be a woodworking thing that's completely unrelated to music all entirely. Is something you're trying to learn, currently get better at in life?
This is a 2-parter. So I guess I'll say for the music thing, I mean, I guess sort of conditioning my voice to continue to sound good live.
Yes.
And work on prepping it before performance and just like longevity things. Outside of music, I've actually been learning how to play Magic: The Gathering.
Hell yes. Cool.
It roped me in because they released like Final Fantasy things, and I'm huge into Final Fantasy, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta play this game now.
Hell yes. Beautiful. That is perfect segue there. Yeah, my last question is always, what is life outside of music? Because we talk so much about music here that I'm always fascinated about the holistic view of the person.
Yeah.
Magic is the perfect segue here. Yeah. What has drawn you in? Have you always been like a tabletop card kind of person? You played other tabletop card kind of games here?
Nope, never done it.
Beautiful.
It really just stemmed because of they did Final Fantasy. I'm like, I love video games.
Yeah.
I like long storied video games.
Yeah.
It's what I write about a lot too.
Okay.
Final Fantasy, or like right now I'm doing like Death Stranding.
Okay.
That's pretty much my life. Walking my dogs. What else do I do?
Shout out to the pups.
Yeah, shout out to the pups.
If you're watching, I love you.
I love you too. That's pretty much me. I'm kind of a hermit when it comes to that. I mean, do I like to go out? I like to be extroverted, but like I like to keep to myself, read books, and like the cozy life.
Yeah,
that's really what I like.
I'm the same way here. I like life on the other side of the camera so much more than I like sitting right here, and I have to just talk to a human being and forget that there is a camera going on here. And once in a while, the camera malfunctions, and I have to all of a sudden acknowledge that the camera does exist again. But yeah, I'm the same way. An introverted person, and I much rather, I like the quiet life. I'm happy to do the simple things behind the scenes here. Do you ever play like Dungeons and Dragons? Like anything that precedes that makes Magic: The Gathering kind of fit in as an extension here?
I've tried it. Yeah. I learned it. I thought that would be something I would get into, and I tried it. I was like, oh, it's fine. I never did that. I was always just really just like a video game kid.
Yeah.
And you know, I played so many video games is what I do. I mainly just a good story, but no tabletop games really. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I like poker.
Sure.
But like, I guess it's hand in hand. I like collecting things. So I was like, yeah, I'll do this.
Magic feels, hand in hand with, I feel like the collecting aspect is my understanding of what part of what people love about it, or a huge part that people love about it is it's the game. It's like Pokemon cards, right? Like you can play Pokemon, but that's not what people get Pokemon cards for.
No, I never did when I was a kid. I never fucking played that. I played the game, but I was like, I just want these cards. I just want them, and I want them to sit.
They look cool, and I want more than my friend has.
I want that Charizard, and I want to sit there and know that I have it.
100%.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, we had neighbors, and every weekend their parents take them to Toys R Us, and would just get oodles of cards, and it was always like, oh, these fucking, they don't know how good they have it. It was crazy. I would go there and get their leftovers, all the duplicates they got they didn't want, and it was like, oh, I thought they were so rich. I thought that was like the peak of wealth, was them going to get Pokemon cards every weekend. Beautiful, the simpler days of life. We done did episode 103 from everyone. Where can people find you online? So obviously, Loudsounds is everywhere. The singles are out now. The music's out now. There will be an album coming at some point in time here in the future. Where can people find the band online? Where can they follow you online?
It's pretty simple. It's Loudsounds Band. That's for Instagram. I'm on X, Twitter, as Loudsounds. I'm like I use that band as my entity. So I'm like, I just tweet as the band, but it's fucking me.
Cool.
Me, I mean, my personal is Calvi Cad, CALVICAD. I post just stories of my dog. Pretty much
worth a follow in my book.
Same thing with Bandcamp. I mean, it's Loudsounds. Was it bandcamp.com.loudsoundsband.com?
Cool.
vice versa. So
Sure.
it's always going to have the band at the end of that.
Cool. This will all be in the description as well. So
yes.
people listening, I like to ask. I think it's important to have it said for audio listeners, but also, if you're scrolling, if you have time, it's all below. Go click that and don't worry about trying to type in the fucking URL or anything stressful here.
Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Beautiful, man. Thank you for making a trip out here. I appreciate the time
much.
to come and chat here. I know, coming to a stranger's basement is always an adventure here. So I appreciate being brave and walking into my house of horrors here. Awesome. Thank you. Episode 103 from everyone. We done did it. Cool. Have a nice life. We will talk very soon.